Annyeonghaseyo. Ryan Walters here in the slightly improved K-League United bunker. Hopefully we sound a little bit better for folks anyway. But I am joined by the other editors of the site, Scott Whitelock.
Hi.
Yep. Paul Neat.
Hello.
And slightly blocked by my big bald head, Matthew Binns.
Hello.
So it's been a little while, gentlemen, since we've all been here in the bunker. The four-man booth, we're figuring out how this works.
I've got a new seat.
You do have a new seat.
I'm delighted with that.
Paul's been promoted to the not right in front of the camera seat.
Yep.
Matt is demoted to getting blocked by my microphone and me. But as you can probably tell from all of us wearing our kits today, we are pretty excited because the 2019 K-League season kicks off next week. We are under a week away, and we have a lot of things to get to, but how's everybody feeling about the season to come?
I'm very excited, but then that will probably turn to disappointment.
Horror.
Yeah. After the first day of the season, because for Dejan, we haven't won on the first day for quite a while.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, yeah.
See, the first day last year is my only good memory of the Jones Dragons season because we went up to Suwon and pulled off a just tremendous 2-1 win. And then everything went downhill.
I'm not excited at all anymore now. That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, I guess that's it for the show. Thanks so much for watching. But that's mainly K1 stuff. We are going to start today with K2, K-League 2, and we're going to look into the future. And we are going to make fools of ourselves, and we're going to predict not only the season awards, but we are also going to predict the final league table.
That didn't backfire last time, did it?
No, not at all. Last year, I was very happy that I predicted Asan to win the league, and everything else I got wrong. Very wrong. So we'll see how this goes, but we are predicting things as we go. As always, in these live shows, feel free to get in your comments as we go along. And there is a comment that came in right now that I can't quite read from here, but it is from my lovely wife, so thank you, wife, for watching us today. Anyway, let's hop into this, gentlemen. I think what we're going to do, I believe we're going to go around the table. Well, we did it in alphabetical order. Okay, so the predictions are going to be Matt, Paul, Ryan, Scott.
Okay. Zigzagging.
That's how the table prediction is. Well, now let's just go in a circle. This is what we should have discussed before we came on camera. Anyway, before we get into any of the K-League 2 predictions or anything else, if you are also excited about the start of the season, that man that you probably can't see if you're listening to the audio version, but for those of you watching here live, we are having a FIFA tournament on a Thursday night this time. Mm-hmm. We've moved it forward in honor of the start of the K-League season. This Friday coming up is a red day here in Korea, the day off for almost everybody. So if you want to celebrate the start of the season, come on down for a FIFA tournament. It should be good. This one's K-League only. We've been doing random for too long. K-League teams only.
K-League one's the most fun anyway.
I enjoy them because somebody's going to get Sangju and they just have to deal with it.
I chose to have Sangju the first time.
You
and
did.
It was fun. I wore the army suit and everything. It was really... I mean, I was very bad at it, but it was quite fun.
Yeah, it was good. So that's this Thursday if you want to come down and check that one out. Speaking of events going on, this very hard to see picture from there, we'll post it in the comments after. This is El Juego Pub, where we are going to be doing all of our ACL watch parties this year. We were there for the playoff watch party, which was a good game, but it was pretty fun in El Juego.
It was good.
Yeah, nice setup there. The Juego Magazine fellas have opened up a pub, and we'll be there for all the ACL matches. So keep your eyes posted here on Facebook for that, and we'll see you there, hopefully. And it was very entertaining watching Paul last time as well. So there may have been some implications if Sanfrecce did not win their match, but what can you do?
I definitely did not record a podcast on the premise that a team would win before they'd even played.
No, we would never ever do that. But that is all the housekeeping we have, and we are going to just go ahead and move right into the plate. K-League 2. The trophy everybody wants.
I thought on gold.
It's the winners.
It's normally silver, isn't it?
I think
It is
gold,
usually
gold plated.
They change it every year though, because if you can see this image clearly, you can see that there are Songnam is on here as well, and some other teams as well. So
Yeah, the image was not taken yesterday, unfortunately. But what we're going to do here is we are going to run down all of our awards, which are Newcomer of the Year, Young Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Manager of the Year, Defender of the Year, Attacker of the Year, Golden Glove, MVP, and then we are going to predict the K-League 2 table and just really make sure that we make ourselves look bad. So let's go ahead and get started. And let's get started with somebody that's coming into the league brand new this year. And Scott, you look nervous, so I'm throwing it over to you. Who's your K2 Newcomer of the Year?
This has been the most difficult one, I think. I've gone for Marlon de Jesus from Buchon FC. I think it's slim pickings for good newcomers in the K2 this year, but he comes in with a rich pedigree. He's been on the books of River Plate and Barcelona. He has 5 caps for Ecuador. But he only has 178 appearances in his career, and he only has 14 appearances in his last since 2016. So he's coming in with a good history, but I don't know, touch and go for him.
All right, well, we'll see. Paul?
I have Suwon FC's Egbuchalem, the Nigerian striker.
Okay.
He had a good season at Falkenberg in the second division in Sweden last year. And yeah, like you, Scott, for newcomers in the K2, it was kind of hard to choose that one. But I thought with his goal record and Suwon needing a goal scorer, he'd be a good candidate to have for newcomer of the year in K2.
Fair enough.
I've
Mr. Binns, I'll get out of your way here.
I've gone for someone that you may also be picking, Ryan. I've picked Nick Ansell, Tottenham Dragons defender. Mostly a Melbourne Victory player for most of his entire career. It did have a season stint in Portugal that didn't quite work out as well as he'd hoped before he returned back to Melbourne. But now he's come over to Korea to test his mettle, and he's got ACL experience, having played for Melbourne Victory in 2016 in the Champions League, eventually losing to John Buck, which bodes well for a John Dragons player, getting used to losing to John Buck. And it's quite a coup,
Under 5
I
minutes.
think. So,
Under 5 minutes before John Buck.
I'm looking
Just
forward to seeing him though. I think that's a really good acquisition from John now.
I think if he can stay healthy, that's the key thing for him there, and I think that's unfortunately the reason why I didn't pick him as my newcomer of the year, because he hasn't had too many seasons with 1,500 minutes or more. So I think if he can just stay on the field, then that's going to be a successful season. I think he will help that back line a lot. But I have actually gone back to my homeland and somebody that was playing over there for a long time. He is not an American, but 28-year-old Colombian Sebastian Velasquez has come over to Suwon FC, a team that, well, I'll keep the table predictions later. Let's just say the four of us agree that Suwon is primed for a decent year. Most of us. Paul gave me a look. But he had a little bit of time in the MLS. He was part of the 2013 Real Salt Lake title run. They went all the way to the MLS Cup and lost out to Sporting Kansas City that year. So he does have a little bit of a championship pedigree. He's been in the second division in the States, getting over 1,500 minutes both years, had 7 goals last year. So if he could be around 10 goals this year, I think that could be a really big difference for Suwon, because that was a team that just really struggled to get goals last year. So if there's anybody that just has the mettle to shoot the ball even, I think that's something that could help them a lot. So he's the one that I'm pegging as my newcomer of the year, also because why not get an MLS shout out if we can?
Any excuse.
Under 5 minutes for MLS and Jumbook. All right, Matt and I are done.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We are moving on to the K2 Young Player of the Year, and let's snake this one around, because I'm very excited to talk about Han Chan-hee, who is a Jeonnam Dragon player, has been since he started his career, which was at the age of 18. He's been playing over 1,000 minutes every year from age 18. Got 2,000 minutes last year, and stats. He also led the team in passes, 60% of which were moving the ball forward, which was, I think, second or third best in K1 last year. 64% was the best for a midfielder moving the ball forward, so always looking to get the ball going forward. He's also a little bit of a goal threat on his own, and if that's not enough, he had 39 interceptions last year for the Dragons, which was tied for the most on the team with Jugovic, who plays a decidedly defensive midfield role. So I think Han Chan-hee, at just 22 years of age, is going to be the one to watch in K2 this year. I think he's going to really have a good year this year.
I can't believe how he's only that age.
Yeah.
He's been around for so long.
He's been playing forever. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, 22.
Yeah. Matthew.
Fair enough.
Well, speaking of 22-year-olds, I've actually gone for Cho Yu-min at Suwon FC, another centre-back. He got a little bit overlooked in our Editors' Awards due to Paul's lavish praise of Ko Myung-sok. Right, rightly so. It was he deserved Defender of the Year. But Toyo Min also got the joint most interceptions in the league alongside Ko, and he's in the top 10 for clearances in the league, most tackles at his club. He won a gold medal at the Asian Games last year. Suwon FC are even using him in their marketing campaign for the new kits. I think he's due. It'll be his second professional season this year. I think he's due a big year, and I'm looking forward to watching him.
And he's their vice captain as well, I think, this season.
Yes, I think so.
So, yeah. For me, I have got Kim Jin-gyu from Busan I Park. He's a very quick, very promising forward, winger, attacking midfield player. And he had a good end to the season last year. He fits so well into that system at Busan, counter-attacking and with a lot of pace, and he looks like a really exciting player. He's the reason why I think he'd be a good candidate for Young Player of the Year.
Well, there's a lot of young talent on that Busan team. Yeah. So I mean, that's not an easy one to pick from. Scotty, who you got?
Yeah, well, I'll get my Suwon mention in. I'm going for Yoon Young-ho, who's just took a year-long loan move to Paul's Daejeon. You're welcome.
Hey.
He's a really, really talented midfielder. Usually plays as a number 10 behind the strikers, and I think he could really, really do well. Dejan Damjanovic likes him. I mean, in the FIFA interview he did for us, Dejan listed him as one of the most talented players in the squad. He already has an existing relationship with Daejeon managers Ko Jong-soo, but from Ko Jong-soo's days as a Suwon coach. So I think he could really, really do well in K2.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting year down in K2 with that many young players just trying to make their mark. And, we saw a lot of young players stand out last year. Hwang In-bum had a strong season in K2, and he got a big move. Ju Se-jung's still down in K2, doing really well there. So, I mean, I think that there's a lot of potential. You can get noticed for the national team as a young player. And, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I did see that we had a few things come in on Facebook. Do we want to touch on those real quick, Matthew?
I think we'll leave them to the end because I think they'll go quite well with where we're going to eventually reach.
Shut down.
But no, we will get to your questions, and please do keep them coming in. Very much enjoying the chat that's going on there at the moment.
Yeah. Matt is. I can't see it. My eyes aren't that good. But moving on down the list, and Scotty will stick with you for this, the K2 Comeback Player of the Year. So for those that aren't familiar with this is somebody that has either been in the league or maybe outside of the league, not somebody coming back to K-League, but somebody that struggled and is going to have a good year this year.
Well, I was on the fence with two Busan players for this. I was thinking about Park Jong-woo, who was returning to Busan for the first time in 5 or 6 years after being in Saudi for quite a long time. But I'm going with Lee Jong-hyuk, who's coming back to Busan after a year-long loan in Japan. He's not scored many goals in Japan, but his experience is going to be really, really vital for them. I think he'll slot back into that team really well. He has experience as a full international for Korea, so he could do really well in K2.
But I may as well interrupt here and say I also have Lee Jong-hyuk as my comeback player of the year. I think it's safe to say he's not on Bento's radar anymore, but the motivation to return to the Korean setup should probably benefit Busan. I think he'll have a good season.
Paul?
I've gone for Kim Dong-chan. Not necessarily because I think that he will be the comeback player of the year, but he's a definite candidate who should be comeback player of the year. He had a poor season last year, blighted by injuries. But obviously it seems like such a long time ago now. But he got the MVP award in 2016 for Daejeon, and he's proven that he's obviously the wrong side of 30. But in K2, with his experience and his movement off the ball, he should be their main man. Whether he can keep fit or not remains to be seen, but he's certainly got the ability.
Yeah, and boy, you can tell it's the start of the season. We are all just ready to get in our team's mentions. It is just time to go. I went with somebody that's coming down to K2 again, I believe. I should have looked this up. I can't remember if he was there or not. But I'm going with Diego Mauricio, who's coming down from Gangwon. He had 7 goals last year, but he had 13 before that in 2017. So a down year for him, and I think the thing was with him in Gangwon, he's a little bit too similar to Uroš Derić, and they couldn't really figure out that partnership. But I think coming down to Busan, a team that could really use a target man up there, especially with Romulo coming off of the side, a target man for somebody that already had so many assists last year at Romulo, I think Mauricio's going to have a huge year this year, and I think he's going to make Busan a lot of fun to watch because he's got that potential to bang in a lot of goals. And I think last year the setup just wasn't there for him, and I think it will be in Busan this year. So should be fun. All right, moving on. We are coming up to the individual awards that they actually give trophies out for. This one is the K2 Manager of the Year, and to stick with me and wrap around again, I'm going with Park Dong-hyuk, who most of us picked last year for Asan Magunghwa, and I'm picking him because I think Asan's going to have a decent year. Spoiler alert for the table, but I think he put in a system last year that I think they're going to run out to a good start under that system, and I think that there's enough understanding of the way that they want to play that Asan's going to be fine when they make the transition from a police team into a citizen club. And I think that he's one of the better young managers right now. And I think it's not going to be like they were last year. They don't have the talent that they did. But I think they're going to have a good year largely because of the system and the structures that he's put in place.
Yeah, well, you're actually making me already regret my table choices at the moment. But I've put whoever comes top of the division or Chodok Jae from Busan. Now we'll see if they are the same later. But
whoever wins the title.
Well, they always are.
That's why I put mine.
I'm sorry, but you can't do that. Stick your neck on the line.
But it's usually the manager whose team wins the title gets Manager of the Year. So that's
I have put a name forward. I don't want to give away my predictions, but yes. So or it could be Chodok Jae from Busan, because Busan is set for a good season, I think.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I may be spoiling things a little bit, but my pick for Manager of the Year is Fabiano Suarez from John Dragons, because I think they're going to have a good year, let's just say.
I think, yeah. Well, we'll talk about where things are going to... Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
Scotty, who you got?
Exactly the same. Fabiano Suarez Pessoa?
Yep.
Is that how we're pronouncing it?
No idea.
I think John will do well this season. They kept all the best players, well, most of the best players. Mm-hmm. It's always touch and go with a foreign coach, but recent history in K-League, foreign coaches are doing quite well, so hopefully.
Cool. I mean, turns out it's nice being down in the second division when everybody's like, oh, you guys are good all of a sudden.
You win things.
Great!
You win games more than once every month.
Again, let's wait till we get to the table predictions.
Well,
yeah. All right. Scott, we're going to stick with you for this one for the K2 Defender of the Year.
Yeah, I've gone for Ihak Min, who has recently joined Suwon FC from Songnam FC, which I think was a very strange decision of Songnam to let him go. He was one of the better defenders last season in what was a very, very good defence. He led the K2 last season in tackles made. He was the 18th best passer league-wide for a defender.
It's pretty good.
Suwon FC need goals, but I think they've gone around quite well building upon that, and I think he's going to add nicely to their squad.
I have gone for Kwak Kwang Son from John Dragons, signed obviously from Suwon Blue Wings.
Hey.
I just think having someone who's played week in, week out for the last 3 years, vast experience. Mm-hmm. How often did we say in the podcast where we had like things that teams need, and a lot of it was an experienced centre half. Yeah. He's 32, he's experienced, but he's not over the hill. Mm-hmm. I think he would be a really shrewd signing for John and possibly Defender of the Year.
He's got a beautiful shot on him as well.
Cannon
of a right foot.
And he scored a great shot for C1 against the Dragons.
I don't remember that.
I do,
though.
Paul choosing all these John Dragons, I think you're going in for promotion, mate. What's promotion within K-League United, that is.
Oh, okay, I was going to say.
But yes, no, I've kept this a little bit boring. I've just gone for Cho Yu-min, who I chose earlier for the Young Player of the Year. I think if he's going to have a good year at centre-back for Suwon, and I do believe Suwon will have a better year than last year. Mm-hmm. We might not go as far as we went last year in our predictions with them, but I think they'll be better this year, and I think he's going to be key. And if he's Young Player of the Year, I'd have a stab at saying he's going to be one of the Defenders of the Year as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I have a man that I think all of us are familiar with. I have Kim Chi-woo down as the Defender of the Year for Busan because I think, again, Busan is going to have a very good year. And he was part of the second best defense in the league last year, a big part of it, a lot of that veteran leadership like we were talking about. He also led the team with 71 crosses last year, so he's very vital to them moving forward. He was third in team interceptions, tackles, and passes, and fourth in clearances. So he's not necessarily leading the way in any of these stats, but the stat leader in all of those was a different person, whereas he's in the top 2, 3, 4 in all of those stats, and I think that leadership from the back line is going to be really key for Busan this year, as long as he can keep his legs under him. because he does not have the speed that he used to.
But he's 34, 5?
I mean, if I could run like that, I would say when I get to my mid-30s, in my mid-30s, if I could still run like that, it would be great. But I think he's going to be really key to Busan this year, which leads us up to the other half of the field for the attacker of the year. And I feel like I might be stealing a bit from other folks here. We'll see. We did keep our predictions secret from each other for the most part until Scott started cheating and looking at Paul's notes before we came on air.
No hacking, Scott, please.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
I have picked Wesley Alex for Eland to be the attacker of the year because he nearly won the Golden Boot last year with 15 goals for an FC Anyang side that didn't have a lot of service for him. And he was also 5th in K2 last year with shots on target. So I think that that's something that Eland is really going to need this year. And I think they're going to be feeding the ball to him a little bit better than Anyang did last year. So if he was that close last year with Anyang, I think he's going to do even better this year with Eland.
I've got him as well, actually. I think he's a bit of a human highlight reel with the goals that he scores. And that's just such a great signing from Seoul Eland.
Yeah.
To manage to poach him away from, let's face it, a rival in FC Anyang. Yeah, he got a good goal return last year, and then he finished the season strongly the year before with Eland. He got 7 goals in that decent run that he had. Yeah, he's my pick for attacker of the year as well.
Matt, do you have someone else?
No, I don't. I also have Wesley Alex and Seoul Eland. I think, as we just said, it's good business from Eland, and he was decent as well when he was at Eland at the end of 2017. So I think coming back this season, he should have a good year, I hope.
I should have probably gone for Wesley Alex, but I've not. I've gone for Aurelien Chitu at Daejeon FC.
Yes!
Yeah. Like I said, I think Daejeon are going to have a good season. He's got 12 goals, which he was the 3rd top goal scorer last season. And with Yoon Young Ho and Park In Hyuk supplying him, I think he'll do okay.
Yeah.
13 if you include the goal against Gwangju in the playoffs.
Okay, sorry, 13 goals. Sorry.
We're not
counting
so good. Nope. Yeah, so I think, let's hope that, Eland and Daejeon being good attacking this year, that'd be great for K2. Would love it. Moving back once more to the back of the line for the Golden Glove. Scott, who do you have for that?
I've got your man, Lee Ho-sung. He had a bad time last year, but he's going to bounce back. Jeonnam will do well.
I have him as well. I think that he's a better keeper than the statistics would lead you to believe. I think he's tremendous at organizing the back line when they listen to him, which they didn't very much last year. He's also just a really good out-and-out shot stopper, really good distribution. I think he's going to have a good year this year as long as that back line in front of him can stay healthy and actually communicate this year and not leave 50-yard gaps all over the field. But I think they can this year, and I agree. I think he's primed for a big year.
Will he play, though?
Well, that's the question, right? And
Park Jun-hyuk signed from Daejeon.
That's the other thing that I have down is that if Park Jun-hyuk and Im Min-hyuk, that's a good goalkeeper competition. Right. So if Lee Ho-sung can beat those two out, get the starting spot, which I think he can. I think he will. And I think he's going to have a good year. If he doesn't win that starting job, well, then my first prediction's already terrible. We're already there.
All right, my pick is a Daejeon player, Park Ju-won. Finally, he will get the recognition that he deserves. I think he's a great goalkeeper. For some reason, he often got overlooked at Daejeon, but then they eventually realised that, okay, he's actually better than the person who started the season in goal. He's had that for a few years. Similar thing happened with Asan. I just think he's a very good all-round goalkeeper, good shot stopper. He organises the defence very well, and he follows me on Instagram. So
that's how the awards are
that
decided.
Definitely hasn't influenced my decision at all.
Matt, who's following you on Instagram that you're voting for?
Not many, unfortunately. But it doesn't follow me on Instagram. But Koo Sang-min from Busan I-Park is who I've gone for. I'm following the will of the people in our last season K-League United Awards. He won our fan voted awards by a reasonable margin. He had the joint highest number of clean sheets last season behind Kim Da-sol, who's now left the league, and he would have been my pick if he had stayed at Suwon FC. And I think he played a reasonable role in Busan's playoff push. Busan, when it got to the end of the season, they didn't have many central defenders. They had a lot of injuries, and he was put under fire a lot. And I think he showed his worth. He might have a good season this season, I think.
Yeah. Well, again, they were the second best defense last year, behind only Asan, who was just ridiculously good at just all around last year in K2. So he was a big part of that. So I think, yeah, it's a good shout. And I've already said who mine is, so I'll just move on to the MVP, and I'm going to stick with Busan. I think it's going to be Romulo this year because he was key to them last year. He actually led the entire league in key passes with 78 and assists with 9. I expect that number to be, the assist number to be even higher this year, again with Mauricio there as a target man. He was also tied for third with 10 goals, led Busan in interceptions, was second in tackles on the team. He's just a complete player, and I think he's going to be hands down the best player in K2 this year.
Yeah, I've got him as well. I think as he's only 23 years old, which is incredible. I think he plays like a player beyond his years. And last year, I've just kind of touched on it. Busan did have an injured defence last year in the playoffs. They were putting wingers at centre back and things, and they didn't also have a striker at all. They didn't have a proven out and out goal scorer, but he was the glue that held the rest of that team together. And with his drive, he kind of dragged them towards that final. And now that they've recruited some interesting signings and things, I want to see how they do this year.
Yeah, my pick for MVP is from Daejeon, and it's who Scott has picked for Attacker of the Year, Aurelian Kichu.
Okay.
So last year he got 12 in the league, 13 overall, but he missed the first 4 rounds, didn't have a pre-season with the team.
Right.
I think we had a full pre-season, and he's also the vice captain of the team now as well, which is big for a foreign player, I think, especially in K-League 2. So I think with knowing how important he is to the team, and he'll feel that wearing that armband on occasion, I think he's going to be probably, if not the top goal scorer, up there with the best of them, and going to have a great year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott?
Well, Paul slipped me a few man ones, and yeah, my Attacker of the Year is going to be MVP Cheetah again.
Okay.
I really think Daejeon are going to do well.
I hope so, please.
Well, that leads in perfectly to where we are next. I did see that we've had a few more questions come in on Facebook. We're almost through the table predictions, so I think we'll just wait until it's over. Do you want to do it before we predict the table?
We'll do it after we predict the table. Just okay. It kind of ties in a bit nicely, and one of them is relating to K-League 1. We will be doing K-League 1 after we finish with K-League 2, so absolutely. I may hold that back as well.
Yeah, so we're going to predict the table here, which will then obviously include who we think is going to be the champion of K-League 2, and then because the second division has the lovely fun playoffs, I also am going to ask at the very end a prediction who's going to win the K2 playoff and if they will earn promotion.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to end things. And because we did the graphic before we sat down, the order of this one's going to be a little weird, so we're going to start with Matt, go to Paul, come to me, and then go to Scott, because this is how things go.
I'm the intern. I'm the
so you probably can't see this very well at home. We'll put up the graphics after, and we'll make fun of each other all season long by posting these again and again. But we'll be reminding you of who we have, starting with Matthew Binns, who is finishing bottom of the table, Matt.
And Sangrinas.
Harsh.
To be honest, I should have known we were doing this from the bottom up, but I've actually written them from the top down. So I got to the end and was like, they're not better than the other teams above them, and that's purely why they're 10th. I think they've lost a lot of key players, they've lost their best attackers, and that's why they're there.
Paul?
I also said Ansangrinas.
You did.
But when I delved into it a bit deeper, I think I might have got that wrong. I think Anyang maybe could finish bottom. But
too late.
Ansan, yeah, they've not really strengthened that well, but alright, they've kept Jangkok Jin, which is a very good signing, I suppose you could say it. He kept him, and Cheho Ju as well, but I just think that their foreign signs are unproven, and they've got this losing mentality.
That's really tough to shake.
A culture within the club, and I can't see them finishing any higher than 9th or 10th.
I really don't have anything to add. I have them in 10th as well, just because I don't think that the rest of K2 has improved this off-season, and the Greeners just haven't done enough for me to think that they're going to come off the bottom of the table. If they get up to 9th or 8th, okay, but I just don't see it this year. Scott?
I've gone Anyang.
Well, you and Paul are just kind of cheating off each other's notes, aren't you?
I think Anyang are going to struggle because they've lost Wesley Alex. They've lost 40% of their goals from last season. They also lost Ejin Ray, who was on loan from Suwon, as probably their second best player. And he's gone out to Ansan, so unfortunately he's swapping one 10th place club for the other, according to you three. Poor guy.
Yeah. Well, Oh, well, what can you do? All right, back to Matt. Who do you have in ninth?
Bucheon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm going to just... I'm...
I will touch on it. Paul.
I have FC Anyang. The signings worried me up until recently. They have brought in Gu Bontang, the midfielder, who's got a lot of experience. He's played for Incheon and Ulsan, but he's been with Hwasong in K3 for a while. Alex Lima, though, ex-Suwon FC and Houston Dynamo midfielder.
And Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He got 5 goals for Suwon, which is a decent return for someone in a team that
didn't score a lot of goals.
Right.
Yeah.
And Manuel Palacios, not so much though. 18 career goals since 2012. So they've lost, like you said, Wesley Alex. It's a huge blow, and they haven't really strengthened up front. That's why they're ninth.
Yeah. I have Bucheon down there in ninth just because I don't... It's another team that... What have they really done this offseason to make them that much stronger? They struggled a lot last year. They've lost William Pop, who was their leading goal scorer, who much like you were saying for Alex, for Anyang, I think without him, Bucheon's just... There's not going to be any teeth in that attack. So I don't expect a lot from them. Scotty?
Ansan Greeners. Much for what you guys said. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Sorry, Ansan. It's Matt's fault. Matt, who do you have in eighth?
Asan Mugunghwa.
Wow.
In eighth?
Wow.
I think...
Did you think this was the top half of the table that we were doing?
Well, actually, we do have a comment in from Carl Gobbler who does think that I meant Ansan on top as well, so I could very well be getting this into this.
The tables is backwards.
I just think after all the disruption, and they're going to lose these players that they have got on loan halfway through the season, and the players they've brought in are from the lower leagues, uni leagues, and they've got a couple of freebies as well from the top division, but I just think it's too much of a mess. I do agree the manager's really good, but this is going to take some effort. It's a year in transition.
Interesting. Paul?
I have Bucheon because they've just not impressed me with their signings whatsoever. They've brought in Kim Chan-hee from Daejeon, who just got 4 appearances last year, and their foreign signings don't impress me at all. I just think that the loss of William Pop is huge, and they haven't replaced him. And if you can't have a goal scorer in K2, then you're not going to finish anywhere near the top 5 or 4. So that's why.
Fair enough. I have Gwangju down here
Oh.
for a very similar reason that we've been talking about with the other teams. They lost Na Sang-ho, and we all remember what Gwangju was like without Na Sang-ho. It's a mess. They just don't have anybody up there to score any goals. The team relied on him so much last year. He was such a dynamic player. I mean, he made the move over to FC Tokyo after the season he had, so clearly he was a big part of that. And just taking him out of the equation, there's not enough left for me to think that Gwangju is going to be able to do anything. Scotty?
Sorry, but Seoul Land.
Ooh!
Controversial.
I mean, most years 8th wouldn't be that bad.
What? It'd be great.
It's an
If they
improvement
finish
for them.
8th, it's great. I mean, last season was the worst
say
ever
great.
finish with 19 losses. How do you bounce back from that? And I think the upheaval over not having a stadium and having to travel to Cheonan for the start of the season is really going to affect them.
Well, they're starting the season at Jamshil.
But yeah, okay.
Here in Seoul, and then they're going to become Cheonan Elan.
Yes.
And then they'll come back to Seoul later. But I mean, like you say, that's just, it's going to be throwing things all over
There's
the
still
place.
4 games, I think, where they haven't got a stadium for yet. They're still later on in the season. So
Seoul Eland officials, if you're watching, thank you. Also, Hyochung Park, please, it's on line 6. It's a 5,000 person stadium. I don't care if you have to play on turf for it. It'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun.
We do have a lot of discussion about Seoul Land in the comments as well, so I think we'll
Keep
probably
coming.
delve into this more in detail as well.
When the rest of us reveal how much higher up the table we have Seoul Eland, starting with Matthew Binns.
I have Gwangju FC in 7th, actually.
That's how much higher. I know. I'm
Oh.
saying that's how much
Oh,
higher.
okay, sorry, I'm with you now. Similar reasons to what you just said, Ryan. I think they've lost Na Sang-ho. They've also lost Duarte to Seoul Land.
Yeah.
So they've lost 2 of their key attackers. 7th.
All right. Paul?
I also say Gwangju FC because of loss of Nastang-ho, Robson Duarte, and they just haven't replaced anybody to score goals, and that's why they will finish no higher than 7th, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I have FC Anyang all the way up in 7th, just because I think at the end of the year last year they pulled something together, and I think, like you were talking about with Ansan, with the Greeners, there's just a little bit of a losing mentality there. And I think with Anyang, they may have shed that a little bit at the end of last year where they had a little bit of belief. And I think that's good enough to carry you above 3 teams in K2. To be honest, these bottom 4 could shuffle around. Who knows, because K2 is always so close. But I think Anyang have done well enough to not embarrass themselves this year. Scotty?
I think I might have embarrassed myself because I've put Bucheon up in 7th. I don't know. I think they were a half decent team last season. Mm-hmm. They've lost pop, but like I said, I think Marlon de Jesus has the pedigree to be able to do well, and I think it's a toss-up between those bottom 4 anyway.
Could be. We'll see. To round out the bottom half of the table, Matt, who do you have in 6th?
FC Anyang. But to be honest, this bottom 5 could be in any order. I think all have weakened and
joint 6, all of them.
They're all joint 6. Yeah,
joint not playoffs.
So yeah, Anyang.
Okay, Paul.
I say Seoul Eland.
All the way up in 6th, though.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure about them defensively though. That's the reason why I put them no higher than 6. But with Robson Duarte and Wesley Alex, they have firepower for the first time in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
They scored 30 goals last season. 30. That's abysmal.
Yeah.
And they only had 1 win over 2 goals. That was a 3-0 win against Bucheon in May. With that firepower, they should be all right, but not enough for the playoffs.
Fair enough. I wholeheartedly agree. I think that they'll improve, and maybe more importantly for folks watching, I think they're going to be a fun team to watch this year, hopefully. But there's enough attacking talent there that I think that they will be enjoyable, but I don't think that there's enough... Hello, microphone. I don't think there's enough of a team structure in place for them to get into the playoffs.
I'm not quite sure why I've done that, because I'm looking at my notes now and everything's negative, but I've put Gwangju in 6 for some reason. They were incredibly inconsistent last season. Mm-hmm. They've lost Na Sang-ho, and the transfer business has not been very good. But I still think they're better than those 4 teams below them.
Yeah, I mean, and again, these are going to be our official predictions. We'll stick with them, but I think we would all agree, as we're saying this in February, that these are all fluid. These could all move. I think I will stand behind the fact that I think this is going to be the bottom half of the table, but where exactly they finish in here in K2, which is one of the joys of following K2, is it's so close throughout the whole year. Who knows? These could all switch, but this is the bottom half as we see it. So, moving into the top half.
In 5th place, I have Seoul Eland.
Hey.
Going to finish in the top half, because why not? They've got
I love the reasoning behind all of your picks. Well, whichever manager wins the league, and well, why not?
I've really put the effort in this year, as you can see. No, they've got 2 strong attacking signings. They've got Masuda in from Ulsan as well. Well, not from Ulsan, from S-Pulse, but he's played at Ulsan for 3 years previously. He knows Korean football, and they've got a new manager who wants to play high-tempo football. So, yeah, let's get behind them. I'm all for seeing what they can do. They've got some exciting signings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5th.
All right, Paul.
I have Asan Mugungwa in 5th. They will lose too much.
Yeah.
Midway through the season. Choo Se-jong, Lee Myung-ju, just 2 there for
I mean,
example.
those 2 could make any K2 team better.
Any
on their
K1
own.
Team.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Not any K, but most. Let's just say most K1 teams. They've also lost a couple of good players already. Jo Sung-jun, Ho Bom-san, Gu Dae-young. They've also left, and Kim Lun-do went back to Bucheon. They're too many young players, and they're all right. They brought in a few experienced players like Che Jin-ho from Gangwon, but not enough to finish in the top 4 for me. Sorry.
I have the same thing, and I won't add anything because I just agree. Yeah. Scotty?
I'm not going to make the same mistake as you guys made. I think this team could possibly finish higher, but I'm putting them low down. So I see.
Why?
I think they've had a very good transfer window. You mentioned before they brought in the Nigerian international who scored 14 goals last season. They brought in a North Korean Japanese player, Am Byung-jun, who scored 10 goals in J2 last season for a team that was relegated, which ain't bad. And they brought in Lee Hak-min, who I think is a solid defender. So I think they could go higher than that, but I'm not falling into the same trap that you guys fell into last season.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Well, I only said second last year, and I was only off by about 6 places. So, moving on into the playoff positions here. Matt, who do you have eking into the playoffs with that 4th spot?
Suwon FC. Just because, again, they've done a lot of right things in the off-season, but I'm too scared to put them higher. But what I will say is they've backed the manager again, even though last season there was a bit of unrest. Either the manager will get it right this time, and they'll finish in the playoffs, or he'll leave midway through after being forced to resign or sacked, and a new manager will get the best out of this talent. So I think 4th.
Fair enough. Paul?
I agree.
Yeah.
I've said Suwon FC. Some of the reasons I like the Korean players that they brought in. The goalkeeper John Soo-hyun had a good season with Anyang.
Yeah, he sure did.
Jang Jun-young is someone that I know from Daejeon. He shouldn't have been playing in the National League. I don't know why he fell that far down. Good defender. And yeah, with some of the foreign signings, they look quite like they could have a good season. Whether they'll finish any higher than that, I'm scared to say that because I was nailed my colours to the mast last year and said they would finish as champions. But if they finish top 4, that'll be a very good season for them.
It'd be a great turnaround for them.
Yeah.
Which is why I also have Suwon FC in 4th place. I think, again, I'm expecting a lot from Velasquez this year. I think that he's going to bring just tenacity in the attack for them. Just somebody that's unafraid to shoot the ball. And I think that will be the difference because last year Suwon was a decent team if they could have just shot the ball. And we'll see. So playoff bound for them. And Scotty?
Asan, basically for the same reasons that you guys have given. They've got the best. They've got the best squad at the moment, but they're all leaving soon, and they've signed a lot of inexperienced young players to replace them. They'll struggle.
So we've all got Daejeon in the top 3. It's fantastic.
And Jeonnam.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, this is off to a good start.
Quite the contrast from last year.
By the way, we're almost done here, but if you want to submit your preseason predictions, we'd love to see them. You can get them in here, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, listening to the podcast, whatever, we would definitely love to see your predictions, and maybe we can have some prizes. If somebody's close at the halfway point, we'll have some merch that we can give away for some winners. So get in your predictions and make yourselves look better than us, which shouldn't be too hard to do considering how things went last year with these.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, decidedly, and hosting that first game, Matt, you have
Daejeon Citizen.
We.
I'm not going to talk about them because I'm sure Paul will at length.
Not at length, but yeah, I agree with you. I've said 3rd as well for Daejeon.
Oh, they're not. Did you miss a few spots on your table?
I just think the other teams would be stronger.
Okay.
But this is the first time since 2016 that they've had the same manager going to a second season with them.
That's pretty big, yeah.
They've also kept the same foreign players. 3 players that are really good, had good seasons last year. Continuity, I think, is one of the reasons why they're going to have a good season this year. They've not brought in that many players yet. A couple of young players, Yoon Young-ho, you mentioned earlier, and Lee Jung-moon, 2 players that look out for, but now they've got the money from the Hwang In-bom transfer.
Right.
Maybe they can finish higher, but 3rd, at least 3rd.
I also have them in 3rd because similar reasons, and I think when you have roughly 10 million players to pick from, because that squad last year, I think the squad was very literally at 50-something last year at one point.
It was more
correct?
than that. It was nearly 60, yeah.
So when you have that much in-house to select from that you could start your own National League team or a K3 Advanced League team, then I think that they'll do well to recruit there. And if they can't find someone, then they finally have a little bit of funds to keep the club going, but also they could make a decent signing this summer if they need to, which they did really well with last year. They proved themselves capable in the transfer window last year, so I think if they're not off to the start that they want to be, then now they have the resources and the means to go ahead and improve themselves.
I'll make it a full house.
Hey!
I think they have one of the best attacks in the league. Park In-hyuk really impressed me last year. I can't overstate how good Yoon Young-ho is going to be K2 level, and Chitu is going to get MVP, so yeah.
There it is.
Brilliant.
All right.
I'm minding it later.
Moving into second and awaiting the winner of the Daejeon Suwon, for most of us, playoff, or Asan.
Jeonnam Dragons. I just think it's hard to come straight back up.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a lot of good teams in the K2. I think Jeonnam have made some good moves. I think they've got some good signings, but they're just not going to be there. So second.
Fair enough. Paul?
I have said Busan I Park to finish second.
Oh.
Well,
We know who that means is in first.
They'll do well because of Diego.
Mm-hmm.
8th overall in terms of the number of... Right, sorry, 6th overall for shots on target.
Yep.
3rd for shots on target in the box in K1.
Mm-hmm.
So that speaks volumes. They've also signed some good players. Park Jong-un, you mentioned earlier, and Lee Jong-cup is back. They'll be determined not to be in the playoffs last year. They might end up being there, but I think they're going to have a good season. 2nd, if not 1st.
I also have them in 2nd. By the way, your top half of the table is looking fantastic. It's looking great. I have them there just because I don't think that they lack the talent. I don't think that they lack the ambition, but this team just seems snake-bit. They just seem like they can't win the K2. And I don't know why, because they've had great managers, they've had great players. It just seems like a team that just can't quite get over that hurdle, and I think it's going to be the same thing this year, where they're so close, but they just can't quite get that shield.
I don't have to say this, but I agree with Matthew Binns. John and Dragons in 2nd. I think we talked about it with Anyang and a couple of teams at the bottom. It's difficult to break that losing streak. I think Jeonnam could have a little bit of a hangover coming into this season. They've got a very good squad. They've kept hold of all their best players, but I think...
Most of them.
Ho
Young-jun's gone.
Well, yeah. But I think Busan was so good last season.
They were.
They're going to be there.
All right. And Matt would...
Busan, I Park at the top. I think it's their time to come up, and just building on really what Paul and Scott have already said about them, I just think they're due to finish top now. They're due to be promoted, so I'll put them as 1st.
Paul?
Your team, John and Dragons, will
Hey.
finish as champions, I think. Just, you look throughout that squad, and even though they've lost a couple of good players, it's still such a strong squad. The spine of that team is really strong, and I think that they will come down with a certain swagger and confidence, maybe arrogance, perhaps, that they we should be a K1 team. Mm-hmm. This is our first indignity, if you
first ever time being relegated,
right? So I just think that they will do well, and that back 4, I think, and the goalkeeper, whoever it is, it could be any of 3 or 4.
Yeah,
they're champions in my opinion.
I agree. I think that the structure up until the final third, at least. I mean, that midfield, we talked about this a lot last year with Asan and the midfield that they had coming into the season. And I think that it's very similar with Jeonnam this year. I think that midfield is just going to own games. I think Han Chanti is going to have a huge year. Jugovic staying at the club when he definitely could have gone to K1.
He's a K1 player.
He is a K1 player, and he's so fantastic standing in front of that back line. And like we've been talking about, there's a really great goalkeeper competition going on there. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult to score goals against Jeonnam. They might not be the most entertaining team this year because I don't know who's going to be scoring goals on the other half of the pitch, but I think they're going to be very difficult to play against. And I think that, like you say, they have a little bit of a swagger about them, which is nice for Jeonnam because we don't usually have that.
Right.
So I think they're going to be carrying that trophy around. Gwangyang Stadium is finally going to see a trophy.
Well, mine's obvious, Busan. I think for me, they were probably the best team to watch last season in the K2, if not the best team. Mm-hmm. They've lost some quality players, but they've worked well to replace them. Lee Jong-hyuk's come back, Diego's come in, Park Jong-woo looked very good for Suwon last season, and I think they could win it healthily by quite a big margin.
Fair enough. All right, so that is our K2 table predictions, which has answered the question of who will be champion, but we've not answered who's going to win these playoffs, so we're going to have to stick with the teams that we have in the playoffs. Scott, I'm going to put you on the spot first, and we'll just wrap around this way.
Well, I have Daejeon beating Asan, and then I have Daejeon beating Jeonnam.
Whoa.
And then I have...
And the KLU derby.
And I don't want to reveal too much about my K1 table, but I have Daejeon getting promoted.
Oh,
through the playoff.
Yeah.
It would be really nice to see a K2 team come up through the playoff this year. I don't care who it is. It would be nice to just see a little bit more change, especially with Jeonnam already down in the 2nd division. Why not?
I'm going to be pessimistic and say that Daejeon will lose in the final again, the promotion final. I think they will beat Suwon, but will lose to Busan again.
Okay.
I've said the same as Scott. Daejeon to win and get promoted to whoever they may be versing in K-League 1.
Well, since I have the luxury of Busan being down there, I think Busan's going to be the team that's going to win the playoffs. And I think they were really hard done to not win the playoffs in 2018. that red card that they got in the first leg changed things. And we've talked about this before, but I think they were the better team in that playoff. I think they'll probably be the better team coming into the playoffs in 2019. I think they will go up, but again, I think they're a little too snake-bitten to take it outright, unfortunately.
Can I just add that I feel really dirty that I'm agreeing with Matthew Binns on a regular basis?
Don't worry, there'll be another prediction for K-League 1 after this.
Yeah, did you see his notes as well?
I didn't look at his notes.
Yeah, are you just looking at everybody's notes?
Sorry.
All right, we have had quite a few questions come in. I'm looking at Matt's notes here, but let's get to these, and then we are going to take a quick little water break of our own. We're going to come back in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it takes. we'll say probably 10 minutes. But we are going to take a little bit of a break and then come back and do this exact same thing with K1.
It's actually going to be quite short because there's a couple of questions in for the K-League 1. So as we just said, we will be in a K-League 1 show. So I'm going to hold. I've written them down. I will be bringing them back in the next video. So if Dehan, I know what you thought. He's not watching.
Hi, Dehan. He might be.
If Dehan is watching, we will get to Songnam FC in the next podcast. I also forgot that they were not in K2 anymore.
Rude.
We do have a question, though, about Seoul Eland in. It's in from Matthew Spencer, and he said, is it a new start for Seoul Eland, and how will the home games affect this team?
Well, Jamshil, I think, was sometimes a hindrance more than anything else.
Yeah.
A change of... Alright, the upheaval won't be ideal, but trying to put a positive spin on it, a change of scenery might actually help them.
Yeah.
I mean, alright, going all the way down to where they're going to have to go, it's not exactly very close, is it?
Right.
But they might see it as like a siege mentality. If they can rally the troops and they've got a good team spirit, then maybe they can use that to their advantage.
I'm worried about Seoul Eland with that one.
Okay.
Cheonnan's big city, if whoever's not been to Cheonnan, Cheonnan's a city that's made for a K-League team. They've wanted a K-League team for a while.
It's true.
And I think this is kind of a soft opening and a little bit of a test to see if Cheonnan could actually
take over Seoul Eland. Okay.
If Seoul Eland struggle this season, then I don't know. I'd be a little bit worried if I was an Eland fan.
I'll add to that because Cheonnan are testing to see whether there's appetite for a club. That's why they had they hosted some of the Under-20 World Cup games there. That's why they recently hosted a friendly there earlier last year. I don't think they're taking Seoul Eland. The potential in Seoul, they've not found it yet, but it's there.
Maybe Eland can move and a new team could come into Seoul.
I think, but I do think just getting away from Jamshil would be better. We have actually had a comment in from Michael Redmond as well, our Seoul Eland columnist, and he's just said, it could be a blessing in disguise. He thinks just getting away from such a big stadium, getting out of the spotlight a bit more, and just seeing what they'll do. It is also worth mentioning that Seoul Eland are going to be doing free shuttle buses down for the season ticket holders and things. So.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how they do down there. I've already said it once, I really wanted them to play at Hyochung Park this year. I know that the turf isn't ideal, but a 5,000 person stadium for that team would be great to just get into an atmosphere where it feels like you have an atmosphere, because at Jamshil at the Olympic Stadium with a running track and that many seats, like it felt a lot like when Busan was playing at the Asiad in the World Cup Stadium, and it was just this massive cavern, very similar to Daegu in their World Cup Stadium. It's just really hard to get behind the club when there's no atmosphere, and it would have been great to see them stay in the city center and have that. But I do think that Cheonnan's going to be an interesting opportunity for them. So I think they'll be okay because of that siege mentality that you were saying, but they could also fall to pieces because of it. So it'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, and like I said, we've got some questions, but we're going to keep them for the K-League 1. So
okay.
Do stay tuned.
All right, so that is us for the K-League 2. We will be back. We'll be back in 10 minutes to talk about K-League 1 and make fools of ourselves yet again. If there's anything that you want us to talk about in K1 that we haven't gone over yet, please get it into the comments. If you're watching right now, please tune back in 10 minutes. Yes, I am wearing a watch. It's just whatever. Anyway, so we're going to send Scott up to turn off the camera now.
Great.
So while he's doing that, I will say that if you want to come out and watch some of the AFC Champions League games soon, we will be at El Juego Pub. It's in the bottom right where it says finish. See you guys soon.
See you.